Welcome everybody, thank you for joining me and my Batman journey. Let's get into it. We're about to dive into Batman number 406, Year 1 Story Arc, which came out in 1987, written by Frank Miller and art by David Mazzucchelli. The building that Batman was in had a bomb dropped on it, which causes Batman to fall rapidly as the building collapses around him. Despite all of this happening, in a matter of a few seconds, we get Batman's thoughts saying that there's a man in the building that's trapped and he won't be able to save him. He repeats this multiple times in his head, but he wants to save the man, but he doesn't even know how he's going to save himself. He's forced to discard his utility belt as the explosives in there begin to catch fire. With an amazing display of acrobatics, he's able to land on his feet and immediately get to work on picking a lock to a metal hatch. Which made me stop for a second and think, damn, how good of a locksmith is Batman if he can pick a lock that quick before the whole building collapses down on top of him. We then jump over to Selina's apartment where her cats are pissing her off and wanting to be fed, especially a Siamese cat. Now, I feel her pain because my wife is a cat breeder, and at times I got 15 cats in this house, so I know exactly where she's coming from. Holly, the young girl from the previous issue who stabbed Bruce, is standing there looking out the window across the district at a lot of explosions going on. She alerts Selina to the explosions, but Selina's comment is the best. She's like, maybe that SWAT officer Brandon cornered a jaywalker. Right? Like, how trigger-happy and crazy is Brandon that if even Selina's first thought is something like that? They keep dropping bombs on the building over and over again as per Commissioner's orders because they want Batman dead at all costs. We see Brandon leading his SWAT team into what's left of a building as he gives the order to take no prisoners. Only in Gotham would your SWAT leader be so gung-ho, right? Gordon contemplates to himself how Batman pissed off a city full of criminals and government officials by his actions as of late. They only have him in this awful situation because he and Batman got messed up trying to save that old lady from being ran over by a van. Which goes a long way in Gordon's mind to convince him that the Batman is not as much of a menace to society as the department would believe. We hop back to Holly and Selina watching the news to hear the propaganda being spewed that Batman attacked the police, injured Gordon, and is now hiding out in a building. Oh, how the media can twist the story to sway the general population to believe what they want. And what Holly says here made me raise an eyebrow in confusion. She asks Selina, "It's Batman, can we..." Then gets cut off by Selina to say, "Alright, let's go." What confused me a little here is I had to stop to think, why would these two want to rush to the scene of Batman? I doubt they're going to help him, and I doubt they're going to help apprehend him. So why do they want to get there so bad? The SWAT team combs over the wreckage floor by floor. They come across the same metal hatch that we know that Batman used to survive, provided he was able to pick the lock. The SWAT don't take any chances and lights it up with their assault rifles, hoping to kill whatever is down there. And once again, this shows how reckless and crazy this SWAT team is, led by Brandon. If they're willing to spray an area blindly, who knows how many innocents they would have killed in there? Like, what if a family was hiding away down in that hatch, for example? They did mention previously that they were found a bunch of bodies in the building, but they didn't care. We see Batman hidden in a broken chimney as he reaches up to deliver some kind of nerve pinch to the SWAT officers, disabling them. I've always wondered if such nerve pinches are actually possible. You always see them in movies and that kind of thing. Comment below and let me know, is there ever been such a thing as a nerve pinch that disabled somebody? The SWAT make their way down into that hatched-off basement area just to find it's an empty room. However, it does look like this room belonged to some kind of deeply religious person at some point. They radio to say that they're on their way back up, but before they can, they hear the slam of a metal hatch trapping them in this tiny space. Then we get to see Brandon's expression as he hears Batman's voice come over the comms. "I like you right where you are, Brandon." Somehow, Batman was able to get a massive support beam over the top of the hatch as he yells out to Brandon and tells him to call off the SWAT team before somebody else gets hurt. But of course, the knuckin' futz Brandon wasn't going to do that. Instead, he orders all of his units to the area, leaving Batman with no other option but to drop a gas grenade down the broken chimney to put Brandon and the squad to sleep. Well, I'll tell you, they're lucky that Batman's a good guy, because if that would have been a frag grenade in that little tight space, the whole SWAT team would have been killed. I love the panel of Gordon resting on his car outside the scene as fellow officer states that Brandon is screaming for help over the comms. To which Gordon calmly replies, "We can't help him." Orders. Breaks my heart. Like, I gotta say, with each issue I'm loving Gordon more and more. He doesn't give two shits for anybody who gets on his wrong side. We now see Selina and Holly standing in a crowd, and this is where my previous confusion went away. Now I see why they wanted to come here. It was just to see the mysterious Batman, not so much that they wanted to get involved. We see the Commissioner flying above the scene, pissed off that it's not resolved yet. In this shot, we can see that although it's early in the morning, there is quite the crowd forming, and a huge police presence. Meanwhile, Batman is finally taking the time to bandage up his gunshot wounds to the leg using some of his torn cape, while thinking about all the gear that he had to discard along the way with his utility belt. He's down to only the blowgun in his boot. We all know that if Batman has time to prepare with his full array of gadgets that he can take on anything, but let's see how he does without. Batman is hiding underneath the steps as the SWAT team comes down, and then the cat jumps out to startle the SWAT team. I love how Batman thinks to himself, I knew that Siamese cat wouldn't stay quiet. And this plays back to the scene where we seen Selina getting mad at the Siamese cat, which makes me think, are Siamese cats really that bad, people? Comment below, let me know. I have no clue. Batman remembers that he has an untested new device in the bottom of his boot, which will send out an ultrasonic sound that even the bats who are miles away will still be able to hear and will be summoned to his location. First off, what a badass gadget to be able to call in a swarm of bats when needed, plus it's so fitting for the character. But also at this moment I realized that a similar thing happened in the movie Batman Begins. It's great when a movie adaptation pulls something like that directly from the comic books, right? You love to see it on the big screen. The SWAT team arrives to try and get down to the trapped team below, when Batman uses one of his 3 remaining darts to take out an officer. He states that the dart has anaconda venom on it, which is used to put him to sleep. I didn't think anacondas were venomous. I thought they were more about constricting and crushing their prey. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Comment below if that's the case. Either way, no big deal. He used some kind of snake venom, right? So let's get back to it. Batman is spotted as he uses a defense roll to avoid a spray of bullets. While thinking that he's down to 2 darts against this many countless bullets, Batman keeps moving using cover of darkness to his advantage, as the trigger-happy SWAT team just sprays the area with fire. Batman dives into more cover and appears to save the Siamese cat by throwing it out the window, but not before taking a shot to the right bicep. While this is happening, Gordon is screaming into his comms that the SWAT teams are idiots because they're just spraying bullets out through the windows of the building and into the crowd, where we see a blue uniformed officer take a bullet and go down. Damn, every law enforcement officer is responsible for every bullet that leaves their gun, but in the case of Gotham and the Commissioner, I got some reason to believe that they're not even going to get written up for this. We get to see the Siamese cat return back to Selina, showing that it was her cat all along. This made me stop and think for a second. Was Selina able to use her Siamese cat to go scout the scene for her? I doubt it. I don't think Selina has any, or Catwoman has any kind of ability to communicate with cats or to use them for surveillance like that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just a curious cat, right? The SWAT team rush in as they have Batman pinned behind a stone pillar. Batman grumbles that the bastards had to shoot him in his good leg, but he sucks it up, he sidekicks the pillar, shattering it and causing the above floor to come tumbling down. Again, damn, what level of strength is Batman? I heard he was peak human condition. In the last issue, he ripped off some handcuffs, but now he just sidekicks with his bad leg a 3-foot stone pillar and shatters it. What? Batman pounds the piss out of some SWAT officers, especially the one that tried to hurt that Siamese cat, before sending them through a brick wall and out into the street. We then hop over to Gordon's thoughts as the crowd erupts and clearly is cheering for Batman. Now you know your city's messed up when they're rooting for the vigilante instead of the law enforcement, right? Those cheers quickly turn to screams of terror as they see a swarm of bats descending upon them. For this page we get no dialogue, we just get the chaos of thousands of bats swarming the area. Using that massive distraction, Batman borrows a police bike and starts booking it. The bats cause the Commissioner's helicopter and the pursuing police to lose track of the Batman and forced to give up the chase. Everyone who was at the scene was forced to go to the hospital to get shots for the bat bites, and Selina and Holly, they don't look too happy about it. They point out something that I was mentioning a few pages ago, is that despite all of the dead bodies of innocent people in this building, no investigation was going to look into it. They're just considered a casualty of what it takes to bring down the Batman. That is sick. This page is black and white for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's to show it as some kind of memory rather than events that are currently happening. We then jump ahead to Gordon and Sergeant Essen trying to figure out who is behind the mask. Their main theory is still Bruce Wayne. They are told Bruce is in Switzerland, so they try and get a hold of him. They contact Bruce, who states that he's on a ski trip and fell and hurt his leg and arm, and plays off the accusations of being Batman. Essen doesn't believe it, says that he could have hired an impersonator, and also points out the fact that it's funny how the injuries that Bruce got on his ski trip match up with the exact places that Batman was shot. I love how there's so many clever minds at work here in this story, and we gotta find out who's gonna slip up first, right? Gordon seems to be on the fence a little bit at this point, whether Bruce is Batman, but Essen is totally convinced. I gotta say, this Sergeant Essen is really good at connecting the dots. I got a feeling she's gonna be a big problem for Bruce in the future. We then get the two of them calling it quits for the day, but we get Gordon's thoughts where he's repeating in his head, think of her as a cop, think of her only as a cop. What's that about, huh? I'm starting to get the vibe that he's got an interest in this Essen, He's trying to convince himself that this hot blonde in front of him is not his wife, it's just a co-worker. Oh my, spicy. Some time passes as we see Bruce on those same slopes in Switzerland, living up to the clever ruse that he's put in place. He gets lost in thought about how he needs to be more careful if he's going to live long doing this, and he needs an ally in this. He needs Gordon. It's interesting, I like how Gordon had heard in the previous issues about how good-natured of a cop Gordon is, as well as seeing him in action enough that he would want to make Gordon his ally. We get a scene of Selina laying the smackdown on a pimp as she says to Holly she has a new idea of how they're going to start earning money from now on. So that got me thinking, was Selina up to this point just a lady of the night, if you know what I'm saying? I was thinking that she was a thief this whole time, but maybe not. But maybe now she's going to start being a thief, right? We hop on over to Gordon and Essen having coffee longer than usual as they are shooting the breeze, where we learn a little more about her. First name is Sarah, her family are German, and she got into law enforcement because she was too masculine for other lines of work. Gordon says masculine is the opposite of what she is. Ooh, buddy, I'm wondering, is Gordon going to cheat on his wife? That would totally shock me with the amount of times he's been thinking about his wife in the last couple issues. The next page, we get the two of them walking in the rain, waiting for a cab in a small little cubby area. Oh my god, it's happening, everybody, it's happening! Gordon is cheating! Well, you know what? I guess the stresses of work have built up to the point that Gordon needed some release. Oh my, well, they part ways and then head home. Selina spends the last bit of money that her and Holly had on a cat suit. Awesome, alright, so it's a basic looking costume at this point, but all heroes or villains were like that when they first started out, so I like it. Gordon is struggling with his thoughts and describes how he's constantly arguing with his wife Barbara over him working so much, and he realizes that he's been spending way too much time with Sarah on the sly. He does realize that what he's doing is wrong, but the question is, will he stop? I'm loving the struggles that they're giving us with Gordon, so much so that I find I'm way more attached to Gordon and his story arc than even Batman, and it's a Batman comic. We get this full-page panel of Gordon on the edge of his bed, holding his revolver, having an internal feud between what his head and his heart wants. He should apologize to his pregnant wife and be there for her. But he was also pretty turned on by Essen in that passionate moment. He cuts off that line of thought and switches to how he should just capture Batman since he is breaking the law, and that is Gordon's job. But then he talks himself out of it as he realizes how corrupt Gotham actually is. And also the fact that Batman is just trying to do the right thing. I rate this issue's artwork a 4 out of 5. It's still the same artist for this series, however, I enjoy the attention to detail in this issue. For example, adding a number of religious items in the hidden basement area to add some character. Also, the choice of having one black and white page for Gordon reflecting on the aftermath was a great touch. I rate this issue's story a 4 out of 5. I love how they are loosely adding Catwoman into the story. I'm always curious as to what she's up to. Batman's ability to escape multiple SWAT teams while being pinned down and injured was amazing. And the Gordon love drama was top tier. My favorite moment in this panel was once again Gordon. I feel like Gordon is just as much a part of this story as Batman, if not more. When he kisses Essen in the rain after spending 3 issues constantly thinking about his wife, that shocked me big time. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, and the next part of my Batman journey is right here on the screen. Go on and click it, and I'll see you there.